Good day, guys. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Okay, so my name is Rudo, and as you know, this is where we try and trade for a living as responsible as possible. So we want to talk to you guys about Bitcoin, why the setup played out so nicely. 50% of the time of the move, half of that time will be where the dump occurs. So Bitcoin has made a higher high. So I want to talk to you guys about that. I want to talk to you guys about Bitcoin dominance, because the dominance is now rejecting and giving us a lower low. So we need to talk about that. Then I want to share some on-chain data with you guys. There's some questions we need to be asking us. Why is price making higher highs, but the aggregated open interest, the amount of leverage traders, they're not there? Is this divergence? Is this maybe something we need to worry? I'm going to bring this back and I'm going to tie this into the Bitcoin dominant, the Bitcoin CME gaps, because we've been working into the CME now for a couple of days now, or a couple of weeks now. And is this full? Is it over? Are we going to go moon, or are we going to come back? Then I want to talk to you guys about Ethereum. Ethereum is just as important as Bitcoin right now. We need Ethereum to break through that 4,100 level, give us that higher high. It's so important before we can expect a retrace. AVAX, Cardano, XRP, a few of the other coins we're going to be looking at as well. So if this all tickles your fancy, you know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. And if you're new to the channel, say hi. I would love to meet you. And right at the end, I will be sharing my doomsday angle. What if all this bullishness is BS and it drops? Why? Because I want everybody to be armed with enough information as possible for them to act responsibly. It's all about you and your account and how you move. It's not financial advice. So if you know where the move invalidates or what the market should not do, you will know what to do at the appropriate time. Okay. So that's it. Let's get into this. So let's get serious real quick. Let me just quickly say hi to the regulars. Good morning, Trillis. Good morning, Monkey. Stanku, as always. Matt Bar, let's go, buddy. I'm with you there. And okay, let's get into this real quick. Now, so for this week, there's a few things that we need to take note of. Okay, so today, Monday, simple trading day as usual. Typically, statistically, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are really good pump days or take profit days, meaning a move moves into a TP zone. So then the argument is at the end of these days are normally really good dump days. So we're looking for that kind of move. So I want to see a strong move during the day, and maybe the end of tonight or Tuesday morning, you know, we see a little bit of a retrace moving on. Now, why do I look at this? And what makes this so important as well is this week we've got the advanced GDP numbers. Now we know that the whole idea with the interest rates being so high, sitting at 4.5% for the US economy, is because inflation, the CPI, was running away. Now, at this stage, if the GDP comes back strong, there will not be a lot of pressure left on Powell to reduce rates. Trump might say, I want the guy to reduce rates, but his opinions and feelings, just like we all do, doesn't really, influence him. Jerome Powell looks at the numbers and saying, if the economy is slowing down, that's when the CPI numbers will come down, inflation will come down. And once we've achieved our objective of 2% inflation, which we don't have at this stage, that's when this is going to come down. So there was a lot of speculation that the rates will drop at September. So you can see definitely nobody is betting for a rate to drop this month. And when we look at this from September, there's very little saying that it's going to go to 4%. It's going to be 50 basis points. There's still a 60% chance of people saying that it's going to be lowered by 25 basis points. But the interesting thing is, the percentage stats that it's going to remain the same is growing. So September, our rate cut that everybody's saying that's going to be fuel for the bull market might be pending. Now, why is this fuel for bull market? Now, this is all speculation. As I say, we're going to have to take it as it goes. The information needs to get achieved. So we'll get all the advanced GDP figures, and then we'll get the funds rate on Wednesday, and then we will know what will potentially happen for the next month. Now, why is this important that we need to keep an eye on this? Well, statistically, we look at trends. That's what we do, technical analysis. When the Fed pivots, when the Fed changes its monetary policy from quantitative tightening to quantitative easing, okay, meaning quantitative easing, meaning we print money, tightening, meaning we reduce money in the markets by raising the rates, okay? So once that is there, once the Fed pivots and says, okay, we're going to relax rates, what you will find is the stock market sees that as a bullish sign and rallies into what is then later on a recession. Meaning it's not saying that we're going to have recession next term. It's meaning that we potentially could see a recession 2026, 2027, depends on how the market moves. You can see there the Fed pivot, and after pivot comes a recession. And that was what Jerome Powell wanted to try and avoid with his soft landing approach, is to try and keep the rates high for a longer period with the hope that the economy absorbs it, adjusts, gets used to the higher rates, so that when they reduce, people don't go in a spending spree and then end up turning the economy into another crisis or a recession. Now, maybe he has achieved that. We don't know. So, time will tell. We all we have is historical data. When the Fed pivots, a recession is pending due. So it means that up until that point and after that, we can be bullish. Okay. Now, stock market wise, gold. I mean, I gave you guys in the Discord a really good swing long. I gave you guys in the Discord and on YouTube actually the statistical area where the swing short is going to occur for silver. So the larger time frame trends, we are getting close to, with all these, close to the end of waves. So we're getting to a point where we're getting top signals and the market could move down, or this could just be, we could still have one last big hippie hurrah, big pump. So that's why I'm saying at the end of the stream, there's going to be a little bit of a cautionary tale to all the bullishness that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Okay, so there's a lot that's going there. Now, guys, I trade this on Prime XBT. It's only exchange that I like to trade that gives me all my crypto pairing and gives me access to silver, gold, and S&P 500 and those kind of things. It's easy money there, guys. It's easy money. The market's more slow and predictable. So if you want to trade, you know what to do. Go get your Prime. There's a link in the video description. Okay, now let's get back to Bitcoin real quick then. So just as a quick recap for you guys, what is this gray and green section? Simple. When we look at any move and we look at, let's just draw it out, say the market's going to move like this. Gone rule basically, or Gone did a study and found that the time that it takes to get the high, statistically, if we're in an impulse, meaning the way that Elliott wave says this, impulse is a 5-wave structure, something like that. Okay, if we're in a situation where we're in an impulse, meaning the market's going to give us a 5-wave structure, the time that it takes for the high to get locked in, half that amount of time is what it's going to take for the retrace to occur, and then we're going to be back on. And typically what you will find is, as time moves on then, let's just get my hand on that little button there. As time goes on, that's why your 3rd to 4th wave correction normally takes so long. That's how the market's going to look. So as the market matures and as an impulse moves, you're going to have these periods in time when the market slows down, and that's the buy the dip scenarios. That's what we try and look for to get in on good deals for the market. Okay, so if we then go back to what happened with Bitcoin, then the argument was that when I applied that, okay, when I applied that, that is what I was looking for the low. One thing the market didn't do, it didn't quite go to support. My anticipation for Bitcoin was that we were going to try and maybe bounce off this demand cluster that's sitting there in that hidden demand zone that's maybe on top of there. And the market didn't do it. Bitcoin surprised me. I was expecting a little bit low, and it hasn't. So the rule is simple. In order for me to say that we're in the beginnings now of leg 4 to 5, which is another 5-wave impulse. Remember, there's always waves within waves. So you'll have 5 waves in there. And in the same, you will have 5 waves in here. Okay. So if this is the case, that we're in the beginnings of that, we can let the first wave go, always. The way we do that is we keep an eye on the RSI. We did get hidden bullish divergence. Market made a lower low, price didn't make a lower low. All is happy there. Trend is to continue. So you let the first wave go, because typically you will have a retrace. We've got the Garn rule that we can apply to kind of time when that's going to happen. And then we can go swing long a little bit more aggressively, because this is typically the most profitable wave, that third wave, if you think about it. If you bought there, where's your invalidation? Down there, you don't know. But if you buy there, you've got a tighter invalidation. It means you can leverage more. You can have a bigger position for the same amount of risk to your portfolio, which means you're going to be making more money on this leg than you would have made holding this whole thing to the upside. Okay. So where we're at now, let's apply the Garn rule to this. Simple. The statement that we're trying to achieve, or the objective that we're looking for, is simple. I'm looking for the market to treat this as an impulse, which means wherever the top is, if this is the top, maybe we can go even higher still tomorrow, whatever the case might be. When we do have that top, because the 4-hour doesn't give me a top just yet. There's no top there. It just says it's going to keep on going up. Once we have that top, you can time the retrace of that and then look for your next swing long entry. What you also can use is you can use my demand and supply rates, copy them, pause the screen, or go to the Discord where I post the charts that I share here. Okay. Copy them and use this now to look for the demand to get tested. Meaning you're going to have a situation where, I don't want to click on that little dot, sorry, otherwise I'm changing the angle. You can look at these lows, and you can look at these areas here where the price was closing. You can look at the closing price of it. Okay, there you can go. And now you have an area where you can say, okay, when price wicks into, I deleted that resistance line, but we don't have that anymore. Just want to bring it back because this is now support. Sorry, guys. There's the point there. Okay, there we go. Just going to put that line back there. Okay. So what I want to see is simple. We need to stay above this resistance and turn it into support. And I want to see price within this retrace parameter, tag this area somewhere. So there's your hunting ground. Now, that's given that we're going to go up for another day. If this is where we're going to form a top, it becomes closer. So redraw the charts, look at it from this point of view, and then you have everything that you would need to enter this entry. Now, I know you guys are greedy. You can switch this then to a 15-minute time frame. And you can say, okay, right, if this is the 15-minute time frame, and this is now where we're looking for our 1, okay? On the 15-minute, you would be looking at this being your 5. So now what needs to happen? Your 4 needs to be below 2 on the RSI. So let's have a look at that. And there's your 4. Nearest makes no difference. We tested the same area. So that does look good for 4. That does look good for 2. And then the whole move then needs to do what? Needs to stay above this 4 level. So your ABC needs to not lose this range. Why? Because things that go up keep on going up. They don't make lower lows. Okay. And there you have it. Now you can keep an eye on these kind of things from a multi-time frame point of view. Okay, there you have it. It's giving you all the information that you need. You can go and replicate this. If you have got any questions, drop them in the comment section, or go to the Discord links in the video description. You can always ask them there. That's where I'm at during the day. Right. Now, guys, just a quick kind reminder. Videos brought to you compliments my Bybit account. Okay. So Bybit and I have a long-standing partnership. If you open your account using my referral link, I will give you access to some of the gated features in my Discord, as well as this is one of the only ways that you can gain access to my buddy indicator. Now, if we look at Bitcoin on the 15-minute using the buddy indicator, you can clearly see your sentiment. It's created by the way that it overrides the candles. So if you want to be bullish, wait for it to turn the candle body bullish. Okay, see it overrides it. And then trade the bullish signals up until the point where it switches orange again. It works on all the time frames. And this is why I'm still questioning some of these highs. Yeah, works on all the time frames, and it does get you in on the move correctly. Yeah? If you think about it, if you went long there, held it all the way there, you're looking good. That was a really good swing. So it does make things simple. In addition to this, if you go to the Discord in the trading section, there's a trade guide that shows you a little bit more about how the indicator works and gives you a step-by-step tool that you can click through. Yeah, well, you need to you need to be verified and have the right role. Step-by-step thing you can click through so that you can actually know what strategy to use when. So let's say you've supported this and you've now gone to, and you've got your Bybit role. All you need to do is just go to navigation, click there, say there's the role that I want, get the partner role. There, claim your Bybit role. There you have it. And then if you go back, it will unlock this. So now you can click on this and actually go through all the steps. Okay, well, thanks for being live. Now it's not working. I'll go and check and make sure it's supposed to be working. But in any case, there you have it. Let's then just do this and do that, all access. And then just for the sake of the fact that I'm here, I want to just show you guys this. There we go, bull market, fear. There you have it. And then it tells you if this is what's happening, this is the specific strategies that will work best in that environment. Okay, there you have it. Simple as that. So get your Bybit account, guys. Simple. Support the content, support the channel that backs your trade, my friends. Okay, I'm going to look at the comments real quick, and then we're going to head over with ETH, AVAX, and a few other coins that we need to see that is moving. One thing that I did pick up, and in the discussion this morning, is like, I don't want the market to run away from me. I think it was AF. I don't want it to go and leave me behind. You're looking for more retraces. The nice thing of where we're at this stage, if we look at the market and we look at what is happening with Bitcoin, let's forget about the CME gap real quick, and we look at what is happening with the dominance, USDT losing all demand, meaning people don't want to be unstable anymore. This thing trending down with that trending down is really good. And we've got a situation where the total 3 is slowly but surely building a new trend. It's wanting to go higher. It means that maybe you missed the bus on Bitcoin, the run from 15 to 110, okay, 115,000. Maybe you didn't buy ETH at 1,800 or 1,500, seeing that it's almost back at 4,000, feeling kind of missed the bus there. The fact that the total 3 is now starting to move, it means that our alt season phases are slowly but surely coming into effect. So your Ethereum is the one who's doing really well. And then what happens next is large caps can start moving. And then all the shitcoins should at some stage have their moment in the sun. And that is your saving grace. So if you missed out on some of these, don't worry, because stay tuned. Keep an eye on what the tools that you need to learn to look for your next opportunity. Because for me at this stage, entering Ethereum right now, just purely from a daily, weekly time frame, because we're so close to that high objective, it's almost a no-brainer that we're going to achieve it. But then we're at that 5th wave. We're at that point where I think Ethereum is then due for a prolonged little bit of a breather. And why do I think that? Well, simple. Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, but when we want to start moving into large cap, Ethereum needs to outperform Bitcoin but the large caps now needs to start sucking some liquidity from Ethereum as well. And a little bit of an ETH retrace would maybe just do that. ETH maybe going down again, we'd see Solana push high. We'll see Cardano. We'll see AVAX moving. Bitcoin Cash, those kind of coins, they're going to be moving really good. And that's what I want to try and anticipate for. And that's why I'm not aping into Ethereum like I did the last time round. I burned my fingers and my portfolio balance. So I don't want to make that same mistake. Now, if we zoom out on Ethereum, all of this is potentially just one wave leading up into more. Now, there's a lot of speculation that Ethereum is going to maybe hit a $10,000 level. And if you look at this from purely from where we're at right now, it makes sense. It's maybe possible. Look at the amount of gains there. We might be sitting in a situation where we're just now pushing past the previous, well, we haven't, the previous all-time high. And at that stage, there's still a lot of juice to be squeezed. So this could be turning this price action to look like that price action versus that. Meaning we do this, and now you've got Ethereum running here. And the price targets for that, you can see 10,000, 12,000. A lot of that makes sense. Now, there's smarter ways you can get to this, by not just by me saying that it's going to be there, by looking at your FIB extensions, meaning you're looking at price going there and then retracing. And then statistically, your 1618 is the most probable extension level. 4 is not allowed to go below 1. So now you have a reasonable area where the low would be. And you would expect that retrace wouldn't fall below 38.2. So let's just put it plausibly at around the 50. So somewhere in the golden ratio. And then what you would say then is how you would move this on. Now you move this high to that point there. You move that low there. And then you would say again, 0618 for the fifth leg is the most plausible area. So minimum, just being conservative, we're saying, well, if I'm projecting a lot of stuff into the future, an $8,000 ETH is plausible. Okay. But then if that is the case with Ethereum, there's way more to be had on something like AVAX or INN, because they've got smaller market caps. And if the market sees that much success, just think what they're going to do on the smaller coins. That's why there's always another opportunity. Now, at this stage, I just quickly want to remind you guys again, remember, it's not financial advice. I do not know what the future is going to be, and past performances does not reflect on what the future gains will be. We take things level by level, measure the risk. That's all we do. Measure the risk and try and see where the market can take us. That's it. Okay. So my playbook for ETH. You can clearly see ETH now made its lower low, but we haven't really had a lower low on the RSI. So it could be that this is merely trying to, and I've got it drawn out like this, it's still on its way to lock in the third wave. Maybe that's the higher high, that's the retrace. This is a really bullish way of looking at it. So it could be that that's still the case. If I look at the RSI, I'm not quite convinced that that's the third, because we didn't quite get the retrace for the fourth yet. So this might be still all mid-move pump. So there's another way of looking at this. So time will tell. So all that I do is, like I said, the approach is very simple. Take things level by level. If you want to be bullish on ETH and you feel like you missed the bus, if you feel like you've missed the bus, you haven't. Just do the following. When was the last time we had a divergence pivot get created there? So it's simple. This is now where we do have our next strong bearish divergence. Now remember, if something is bullish and trending strongly to the upside, you will consistently see strong bearish divergence. It's just a confirmation that the market is bullish and that the bears are so overwhelmed that the data, the RSI, is just pointing that out. And only if we lose this support area, that's when you worry and say, okay, now it's no longer bullish. So do you want to get in on the move and you feel like you want to ride this thing higher, and maybe you want to wait and, you know, your analysis points to it's going to go to 5,000. You know, everybody's got their own, you know, all of this is proof that the market's got thousands of opinions, because if everybody was in agreement, we'll be flatline straight up to the new real true value, and that's it. This is why people are bickering over price. So it's very simple. Enter with momentum. Don't be scared of momentum. There's a demand zone there, so I would assume if price really wanted to test your resolve, it might go a little bit lower, but that's the gist of it. And then let this thing ride. Simple. That's all that you need to do. Enter with the momentum, let this thing ride. That's okay. I'm going to quickly have a look at the comments. We're about 25 minutes in. Then we're going to fire out some alts for you guys, and then that's it for us. Okay, so you now know what you need to do for Bitcoin for the swing entry. You now know where we are with the economic news. Wednesday is going to be a little bit of dodgy, choppy market. So entries we do take now, we can maybe ride them if the market remains bullish up until Wednesday. Then there might be a little bit of a shakeout, and that's it. Okay, so over to the comments real quick. Let's see if we can find something. Just questions for AVAX. Good morning, Jason. Let's be here. Good morning, Pierre. Let's see what else we have. Let's see what Stanley has to say. My 2 cents. Price is moving up, low volume over the weekend, leading into a week full of economic news. Weekend trap. I'm only looking for shorts today. Buddy, you have to trade your gut. And if that is what you feel, I'm 100% in support of what you feel. It's in the end of the day, that is yours. You know, you have to stick to your thing. What I just say, and typically what the market does is it has a way to be, you know, to be wrong for longer than we can stay solvent. So when the momentum is as strong as it clearly is for Ethereum and Bitcoin, and why hunt for the short when the easy play would be just to go long? And when it does switch around and give you a lower low on the time frames, meaning ETH falls below this level, goes and makes a lower low, then it will inevitably always come and test what was support that is lost to turn it into resistance and then go short. Because if you think about low liquidity weekends, it's supposed to be that way, because this whole pump, everything that's happening now is engineered by institutions moving in. We're the crazy early adopters, and now we've got institutions that's moving in, and then the masses will come after the institutions have taken over. So for that, institutions, they have got weekend. They're not looking at buying a little bit of Bitcoin or Ethereum over weekend. So I'll rather just play the long game instead of trying to bet against the market. You'll on a long term, it will pay better. My opinion, my few cents, not financial advice. Okay. One thing to note, and this is maybe the cautionary tale. Yes, open interest is lower. Price has made a higher high. So the last time we had that, when you see price go up and open interest is not following that trend, okay, then you do have the potential for shakeout. So there is the potential for shakeouts. And the funding rate, if we go and have a look at the funding rate, has been remaining high, or has remained high and stable. Where we know really good buy the dip opportunities is when the funding rate flips negative. But what if the market remains bullish for 3 or 4 more weeks? So in waiting for this, it means very simple. If you look at this, stick to support, good support levels, and say that the market's going to remain irrational for longer than those that really want to short the market can afford to. And only when they give up, when the bus is empty, it's normally at that stage when the real retrace occurs. Okay. Right. Now, let's quickly see if there's anything else. Is there a chance that a failed short zone could become a really good buy zone? That's typically how the market works. If you think about this, we've done this many times. Maybe I'll do this on AVAX. Use AVAX as a really good example now. So this is the AVAX play. So if you're saying you want to short AVAX, and let's look at this. When did the divergence start happening? Okay. There's the high. All of this is lower highs and. So let's have a look. There's the high. All of this is higher highs. So where's the first divergence? There. Okay. So how would I predict where the divergence would be? I'll use my strat 1 strategy. So I'm just going to apply that, strat 1, meaning that's the entry zone for the short. Okay. Most probable area where the short would be. Short sell zone. There we go. Now, if you look at that, what happened when the market looked for, when that failed? Okay. What happened? The market went back and tested that range. So it's just as simple as that. So when we were looking at this, the anticipation was that this is now going to become resistance. Let me just get an angle there. This is going to become resistance, and then we're going to go lower and maybe have another entry. And when it fails, what does the market do? It comes back and tests that as support. Okay. Where we're at right now with AVAX, just to give you an idea where my thoughts are at, 1, 2, 3, maybe it's a correction to the upside, but it does look very bullish. So I doubt that this is going to be a B and a move back down, because maybe this is not a completed one just yet. Maybe the market needs to move a little bit longer or higher up. So I would, as always, have the play. What do we have? We've got a high there around these levels. We've got the RSI making what is almost a higher high, and price making what is just a higher high. So we're about to delete strong bearish divergence, which suggests that this move is not over. And if we zoom out, the TP zone for AVAX is 35. So it means that maybe this is the move. And we might, when the targets get locked in, the levels get locked in, we can then start speculating on where those would be and get that additional move in there. We don't have a higher high just yet. So AVAX is trying to do just that. It's trying to sweep that high. And maybe it's done it. Maybe let me just delete some of my drawings. Let's see if we can do that. It does look very close. So it's trying to sweep that high. It's trying to do what Ethereum needs to do as well. Get the higher high, and then we can maybe lock this in as a 1, because then we've got a nice simple 5-wave structure. Wait out the correction. We now know what the amount of time it's going to be that we need to wait, and then start timing our entries around that too, and then move, because if this is all part of it, it's going to just give us a better play. Okay, so that's the idea with AVAX. Okay. With ETH dip before the last wave, well, let's use AVAX as an example to try and say that I need Ethereum just like AVAX to make that higher high. Once it has done that, I would expect the market to say, okay, right, we've now turned the tide. Now we need to reload, and it will probably go test some critical. That's supports. That's when I think the dip would be, in my opinion. I don't want to see big dips. Well, you can argue that this is not a big dip. It's 15%. It's an enormous dip, especially if you 10x that. But on the bigger scale of things, if you look at where alts are moving, they're like little leveraged positions, even if you buy them on spot. Look at the good impulses. You don't see dips that does this. That's what I mean by big dip. Something that goes up, that can be 100, it can be 300, it can be 30%. I don't want to see this going back almost 90% of that. When the momentum is strong, the dips remain shallow in relation to the move. And when you start getting these deep dips, that's when you need to question the strength of the trade, of the trend or the trade. Okay, that's it. Let's quickly see what else is there. I want to talk to you guys about XRP. I think this is a sleeping beast. Purely because, a long accumulation, fast move, it stayed strong. This is the most plausible area where I think the buy would be. And you know, I don't know whether this is locked in as a 1 just yet. You know, it's a little tricky because you do have clean divergence on a 4. So maybe that is as low as it's going to go. So now you need to see the same thing on a smaller time frame. This is 4 hour. You need to zoom in, but you're looking for exactly that now. So that we can maybe turn this into our 1 and then call it a day, meaning this is 3. We still need to get 5. That's when this will be our 1, wherever that's going to be. So it's very simple. Wait for this thing to get a top. Right? Wait for the top, then time the entry at the low, because it's either going to be there or there. It's maybe a little tricky because it's now giving you a little bit of a double bottom. Typically, you'll use the RSI and say that there's the lower low, so that would be the bottom. Okay, and yeah, wait for this thing to give you a signal. There's no signal that it's over. This thing's just going to keep on topping. XRP will probably be, by Wednesday, will be at $3.50 again. You know, so I will wait for that, and then once I have that locked in, I can narrow down a tighter entry on 2, go bigger leverage, and then make my money on wave 2 to 3. That is your money maker. 3 to 4 to 5, you start questioning, but 2 to 3 is where you make the money, because that's when the big move occurs. Statistically, that's always where the big move. Not 1 to 2, but 2 to 3. That's where the big move happens. You know, that's it. Another coin that we need to be looking at. Let's just quickly have a look at ENA real quick. Okay, guys, this was Friday. Look at this thing. It's flying. Hope you got your entries in. It's doing well. My rule is simple. Double my money. I sell half. I walk away. I let the rest ride. Now I've got my cash again, and I can look for my next opportunity. OP. Taking off. Okay. We got through. Have we made a higher high yet? No. So it's still early. Even if you feel like you're missing the bus, it's still early. It's going to eventually go make that higher high, then test whatever support level needs to be there, and you can probably get a tighter entry. So if you then leverage, because now you've got a trend within range, then you can leverage this thing and then see OP turning to ENA as well. Start running into this range. OP at $1.45 really looks good for me. Okay, that's it. Guys, this afternoon I'm going to be back. I want to talk to you guys about AI coins that I think I'm going to be looking at. So there's a few coins that we're going to be looking at. So I'm going to share coins I'm looking to get into, coins I'll be selling, coins I'll be adding to, and then coins on my radar, which is the AI coins that I want to share with you guys. Okay, so make sure to tune into this afternoon stream. This is everything for us for today. It's going to be much shorter. It's going to be more to the point. Just going to look at those coins and be done with that. And as always, guys, support the content, get your Bybit account, and head over to the Discord, and you can always continue the discussions there. Right. Cheers, guys.